But I'll get started with this. This is a fun little thing. I just kind of thought, to continue on the watercolor adventure and then doing a little bit more structured Zentangle. These are actually from Zentangles, and I will share with you the person who inspired these and the patterns, sort of, because I don't do Zentangle, but I want to share with you that these were based on Zentangles that I found. And if you want to find out more about Zentangle, there's, well, of course, the Zentangle site, but there's a person who does these. It's called tanglepatterns.com. I think that's the site. And she has a huge library of Zentangle patterns that you can look at. But it's a very interesting site that you might want to check out. So what I've done with this is I've got a 6-inch, this is actually a piece of watercolor paper that I cut to 6 inches square. You don't need to cut it, you don't need to do that, but I just did it because I like working in a square. Kind of gives me, I don't know, just kind of peaceful, but you don't need to do that. But if you do, that's great. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to mask off all 4 sides, just kind of like what we did in our other watercolor adventures. Just going to mask them. This is washi tape. You can, if you have masking tape, that's great. If you, whatever you've got is very, it's perfect. It doesn't have to be, even if you don't have masking tape, what really works if you want to just take a pencil and mark off a shape, and it doesn't even have to be perfectly straight. You can just do it with a pencil and then be kind of loose, and then you could do your watercolors inside that. So there's no real requirement to use this tape, but I find it nice to have boundaries to work with. I'm just going to kind of not measure this. I'm going to just eyeball it right in the center. I've got this little thin piece of tape. So now I'm going to make like a window pane kind of thing, which is, you can do this with this is a great thing, a way to get started in a design. But if you don't need that, it's not necessary to do that. Let me just see if everybody got there. Make sure everybody's muted so that we can keep going. There we go. And then we'll share afterwards. But anyway, just get your paper. If you have, if you have the washi tape, great. But just kind of get an area. If you have a journal or whatever you're working in, just kind of find an area that you're going to do wash. We're going to do 4 designs. So however you do that, just mark off 4 areas. So I've got this. I'm going to try these. I haven't used these in a while. I'm just going to do a very pale wash, just pale, and it's really quick. I'm just going to dip my paint in, my paint. I'm dipping I've got this little, I love this little thing I bought on Etsy. I have to show you. It's a cute little thing. It has a little jar and it says paint water. I don't want to spill it, but if you can see it, it's just so cute. And also, if you have colored pencils, that'd be great. Any kind of pens, like a micron, like this. Microns, if you have Posca pens, a pencil's fine. Use a pencil. I've got some colored pencils. I've got some Derwent ink tints. I've got some Prismacolors. So those, we're going to be basically doodling in layers. And so the first layer is just the background layer. We can call it Zentangles, or I know that's proprietary, but mindful drawing, whatever you want to call this. Slow drawing, that's another great word for this. And just find a color that you just calls to you. Like I'm going to just pick this. It's called Mayan Blue Genuine. These are mineral-based colors, so they're a little bit more soft in they're slightly just different than watercolors. I mean, they are watercolors, but they're made with mineral pigments, so they're just a little different, and they're really fun. This one's called Sleeping Beauty Turquoise. I'm curious how. So it's kind of a soft, very muted. It's not as bright as the colors I usually like to play with. We have Rhodonite Genuine. Let's see what happens. It's a beautiful pink. So I'm just doing a soft blended wash, and however you do it, just do it across the whole page. Let's see. I'm going to pick. I never pick. Oh, we'll pick a green. Serpentine Genuine. It's a very soft, kind of a lime green. And then I might want to get another, like a blue. So there's a French ultramarine. That's going to be much more. It's a soft color. And then there it is. I'm just going to leave it like that. I could drop in some colors, which would be fun, but I'm just going to let that sit. Now, because I have another one that I can work with, usually though, when I get it really wet, like I just did, this is so wet. I'm going to usually use a little Tiger's Eye Genuine. Never have used that. It's kind of a brownish color. Interesting. Not my favorite color, but it's something to try. That's what's great about working with, just playing with your watercolors. See what happens when you put colors together. And sometimes you might say, I don't like that color so much. And sometimes you'll find that you'll just love the blends, however you do it. Now I might just do a splatter just for fun. Just try something fun. Let's see. This is called Kyanite Genuine. And Kyanite Genuine is wild. It has like sparkle in it. It's really interesting. I'm just going to throw a couple of splatters on it just to see what happens. Because I plan to draw afterwards. I could see that this had already dried up there. And so it's leaving it's not spreading at all. And I'll just leave it. And then this spread. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then what I like to do is I like to dab off a little bit of my paint that's on the sides of the tape. I just want to kind of dry that off. Oops. And I don't want to take my tape off just yet. And I could blot this stuff here that I did, but maybe I should just leave it. Stop messing with that. And I'm going to just take my little dryer and hit it with this. Now I love this thing because it's so quiet. It's not, wish I had this back when I was many years ago when I was teaching. I'd have everybody bring out their dryers, and then it just sounded like it sounded like I was taking off on an airplane. But this is very nice and very quiet. So I see that these are really dark. So as I'm drawing, I can go ahead and blot it just to kind of soften that a little bit. And then, I could wait. Here's a big water drip. So if you have water drips, now that's kind of cool. It lifted. So I'll just let that be there because I'm going to draw over it. So it's not like a painting. We're just doing a kind of just breaking up that perfect white background. So I have another one that I'll start, but I just wanted to show you how quickly, if you do have a dryer like this, you can get it done. And then I'll just take off my masks. And this kind of looks like a little moon or something. And just like set that aside. I always like doing things with washi tape and then taking it off. It's like, oh, it's so satisfying. Okay, so now now I see I have like a lot of wetness over on this side, so I can either just turn it, wipe it off on the back. And this is a hot press watercolor paper. You can use Bristol board or anything that's smooth, so you can get your drawings done the way you like them. Now, the doodling part, or the Zentangle part, because these are tangle patterns. And so I'll just kind of share with you who designed them. And I might not follow it exactly, but at least I want you to know kind of where they came from. So this one it's called Crazy Blossom, the one I want to do in here. I'm going to do four. We're going to do 4 botanical inspired patterns in here, sort of like this one. This one is botanical. These are Zentangles. This one I forgot the name of it. Afterwards I'll try to look it up. But these were actual patterns, and they look slightly different because everybody's different the way they do it. But the pattern or the sequence is the same. So with this one is called Crazy Blossom, and I think it was someone named Kat Kwan, I believe is the name. So you could do it with watercolors or you can do it with a pen. Today, I'm going to do it with a pen. If you want to start with a pencil line, just to get if you're a little nervous about doing it with a pen, just draw it out with a pencil and trace over your lines afterwards with ink. You can do that. But I'm just going to I'm just going for it. So I'm just going to use my black ink pen, and I'm going to do 2 blossoms or 2 shapes in here. So I'm going to make like a random I'm just going to do it where I see kind of where I want to do it. I'll just make a random shape, kind of like it would be a mum or something. It was just a random kind of doodle shape. I'm going to do the same over up here, but maybe a little smaller. So I'll just kind of make sort of a round, wiggly shape, which kind of looks sort of like resembles a flower. And then I'll just take on, and I'll start with this one, and I'll make another. I'll make 3 more wiggly shapes inside here. But I'll just do it like this, and I'll just randomly. I'm not trying to copy what I did on the inside. I'm just doing it kind of going from the outwards to the center. And then the very center will be the last one, like this. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wiggly lines going in. And I'll do the same thing with this, or wiggly circles, I guess we can call it. Here's that second one. Here's the third, and then the last one. So those are my basic, the beginnings of my flowers. So now I need to divide it into 5. I need 5 sections here. Now the way I do it is I want to find where it kind of looks like maybe a petal. So I see something here. I'm just going to make a line right here. And I see another one right here. Let's see, that's 2. And then I see a third one. Okay, a fourth. But you don't have to do 5. You can do more than that. Like here, I think this needs one. So I'm going to do 6 right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing, like kind of opposite on the second row here. I'm just going to go in here and just kind of do what makes sense to you, what you kind of see that would make sense, like your petals. And I'm just drawing the lines inside. And I'm going to do the same thing on this last one. I'm going to do kind of follow. I think I'd like to just kind of just offset it a little bit in between. Just putting lines in between like that. So just do that with that. And then the next thing you would want to do is give some weight to it or give some shape. And then what you want to do is take with the lines you just made, you want to take like you can take your pen and just kind of thicken the line a little bit at an angle so that it looks kind of like a Y, and this will give it some dimension. I'm just doing kind of just creating some like a shape. You just want to make that thicker on the outside part. I don't know if you can, I hope you can see that clearly. Just basically, I'm kind of making a Y, and then I'm just coloring it in and thickening the line just a little bit. And you can turn your paper around. It's actually easier to do things when you just turn it around, or if you have your journal, move it around. Yeah, it's easier to make your lines that way. So I've got that first layer. You can just use your pen or you can use it with a brush too. I think that would look beautiful. If you had just watercolor, it would be gorgeous. I'm just creating these same thing. I'm going to go into the second row, and I'm thickening that line just a little bit. Just to create sort of that petal shape. I can vary the thickness a little bit. So you can see it's getting a little, and as I do that, it starts to kind of take form. And my eyes are wiggly today, so I'm going to put my glasses on. But it's funny, I think the LED lights get to me, the bright LED lights. So I put them on, and hopefully I won't feel like I'm blurry-eyed. But sometimes, it's also your sitting position too. Like if you're sitting where you're not straight up, and you're not breathing properly. I mean, you can get so excited you'd stop breathing, you forget to breathe, and then you start feeling a little funny. So just kind of a little tip. So I'm just going to do that on the next level. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just bringing that little line and just thickening that outside part here. And then on the inside, we got somebody. Leah, she's back in. So, all right, hopefully she's all right. Okay. Hi, Leah, again. Okay, so now I've got this little section here, and I might just take the middle And I could either just darken it completely, or I can make little dots inside or anything like that. But you can, let's not do this one yet, because we'll go on to the next design, but then do the same thing for the smaller blossom if you're doing that. But the next step would be, let's start building let's create, like, we can take a different thickness of pen, which I'm going to do. So this one, that was a 5. I'm going to take let's see, I'm going to take a 1, I think. So the different thicknesses, let's see if I can find one. There we are. This is a 1. So it's going to be a lot finer line. So I'm just going to take my 1 and I'm just going to bring lines, just little hatch lines, kind of in the direction going toward the center. And you can make them a little wiggly if you want. They don't have to be perfect. Just little hatch lines going towards the center. And do that all around, starting with the outside. And I'm not connecting it to the base. I'm leaving a light area there. I'm not connecting those lines all the way to the next petal. Or next layer. I'm actually just going to leave that, because I want that to be, I might want to use a colored pencil or something in there. So I'm just making these little hatch lines going towards the center, kind of in the direction of the petal. I'm doing this to all the outside. In fact, you'll do it to all of them, but this is where you want to go slow and mindful. So don't rush this. Don't try to catch up with me or anything. What I'd like you to do is, as we do the basic tangles or the shapes, you'll have time to make more layers and just take your time and continue it. It's not something you'll do in just an hour. But I'm just giving you the basic shape and layout, and then you can actually create your own, finish it on your own time, and take your time and then just enjoy it. Just enjoy the process. And the slower you go, the better, it feels. So this is kind of what you would do all the way. You go all the way around, and same thing here. I'll just continue into the center. And I think with the center, I'm going to just darken it completely. Leave it just dark like that. However you do it, just build your flowers. And then if you want to add, let's say you want to add leaves, which would be really pretty, you can just build out from the outside, just make a leaf shape, and then you can doodle in those. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do a little leaf, and this makes the design very, I think it kind of builds, it's a nice composition. I'll do this with this one. I'll probably put a little leaf on the corner here, just a little one. And I'll do another, like a bigger one over here. Since this is a smaller blossom, I think it would just kind of framing that window shape. So now I've got my layout. I'm just going to leave it that way, and then as the day progresses, I can play with it. But I do want to show you, maybe I want to show you the other designs, but this one is one, and this, I guess it's called Crazy Blossom, but I'll call it My Crazy Blossom, because it's starting to just change into something else. And if you want to thicken the lines, let's say the outside, or you have areas where the pen goes out, I like to do this where I just reinforce the line a little bit on the outside by just kind of saying, hey, I'm here. And you can vary the thickness of the line to give you a different look and dimension, and it actually helps with that little V shape that you made, just to kind of vary that a little bit and just kind of reinforce the lines. And that really makes it really nice. So I'll post this as it's done, but I'll continue like all the way here. I mean, it's addictive, so you want to keep doing it. I want to finish it, but I want to show you the other stuff. So what I'll do is hop over to the other designs, and then we can maybe hop back to this. But you can see how this is being built. So the next one, you have your pen, or you can use a brush. The next one is really a pretty simple one. And this one's it was called Sun, and it was by Hannah Shan is her name. She's the one that made this pattern. And the first step you do, and I'm going to do it down maybe down here. And actually it's this one here. I'll just show you. It's this one. I think it's really fun and it's really easy to do. And I might do a little different leaves on this one, but I want you to just show you the sequence. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way instead. I'm going to do a spiral, and I don't want it totally in the perfect center. I'm going to kind of take it from here, and I'm going to start at this point here, and I'm just going to create a spiral, and then I'm going to bring it down about there. So just kind of a S. It's almost like a fancy S, almost, not quite. And now I'm going to create a leaf right at the tip, like a leaf shape, right on that tip. And then all I need to do is go around with the leaf shape, just go around the whole spiral. And you can just vary your leaf size. You can make them bigger as they go around. I'm just going to kind of and rotating the paper really helps. I'm just going to go around my spiral and just slightly enlarge my leaves as I go. And then I just noticed that what will happen is my leaves will probably go off the page. And if that happens, that's okay. You can actually take, instead of stopping your drawing, you can take your tape and just give yourself a barrier. So I've got a barrier now. So when I draw, I'm not really going to interrupt my drawing. I'll show you as I get over there. Just going to keep working that and not worry about the edge because I've just masked off the edge. So far, I'm not hitting it, but I think I will in a second. All right, so now I'm just going to draw right to the edge as if I, just drive right over it. Like it's not, just continue your drawing because that will give it a natural look. And then once I clear the edge, here I've got it back. Got my full leaf back. So now I think I'm just going to reduce it because I'm near the end. And I'm just going to make my little leaves a little smaller until, there we are, like that. Maybe one more, just to the bottom of it there. So now I've got my little shape. And here you can see, I can take that off and you'll see that how it kind of looks really nice to see that edge nice and clean. I'm going to leave it on there though, because the next step. So to get your centers, now it's up to you how you want to decorate it. But this was the general design or the general sequence, so you can see. But what I think I want to do is just I'm going to take, start with, it's actually good to start in the center and move out. I'm just going to make a leaf right where the vein, right, the center here, and go all the way around and just kind of do it in a sequence, which is a really very mindful and meditative practice. Just kind of rotate it. You can vary you can make it a slightly wiggly line, just very gentle. And here I'm going to go right on over this, my tape. I'm going a little faster than I normally would, but I just want you to see the sequence. Okay, so now I see that the spiral needs to be, the stem looks a little thin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take a second line and I'm going to go right next to the first line. And this is just going to build some weight to my stem there. So that is that one. And you can make a second spiral or not. You can also add little veins, but in this case, I'm going to do some colored pencils. So I'm going to leave that alone and show you that edge like that. Okay, so let's do the third one because I want you to have at least 3 different ones. This one's a really cool one. I really like this one. This one is called, I think it's called Bloomers. And it is, I'm going to do it up here. And basically what you do is you can decide how many blooms or how many flowers you want. Here, this one I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I want to just do 3, you can do 3 or how many you want, but here's the start. So I'm going to start it here. So I'm going to do a real big one, kind of just a big fat one right here. And I'm making an oval, kind of it's not even an oval, it's more of like a disc shape. More of like an ovally, flat oval shape. And then here's my second one will be here, but it's a little smaller. And then my third one is going to be little, like just slightly different in size and slightly different shape. But these are my basic shapes. And what you can do is color them in now or use watercolor. But I'll just quickly color them in, get them just to get them. I can always use a highlighting pen. So this will be now we're doing our second layer on our little window here. First was the watercolor. And now, I think this pen is drying out, so I need to find a different one. They do get dried out after a while. I'm just going to color this in quickly with the brush tip. So that's my first, in this sequence, this is your first, what you do first. And you just find out where you're going to lay out your little oval. Look like flying saucers right now. So I've got those. And the next shape that we're going to draw, I'm just going to use a little thinner. Hopefully this is not dried out. You want to make like a wiggly, just like this blossom here. You want to do a wiggly shape around your flying saucer. It's kind of how like a petal, just kind of going around it, just kind of not touching the border, not touching it, but just going around. Here, so I've got those three. That's our second part. Now the other part, the third part, is to create the base of the petal. This is I don't know what this is called in botanical words, but you can make a bowl. It's basically a bowl under these three things. However you want, you make your vessel, a bowl or a vase. But what you're going to do is I'm going to do one that's kind of like this. That's like I don't know, a vase or something. You can do round, and I'll show you this one. I did sort of like half round and more like a vase, and this is just like a bowl shape underneath. So you just take your, and I think maybe I'll do the same thing on all these, because now this one I have to kind of, there we go. Just make a vessel underneath. And this one I'll make it round, kind of round. So now I've got three flowers, or whatever they are. They're kind of they're interesting flowers, I guess. So the next step is to take your petal, to make, basically make petals by just drawing lines around, just kind of going outside of your flying saucer shapes, and just as many as you need to make it kind of look like that, flowery. Just however, maybe going in where the little curves kind of get closer to the line, to the shape. Just make these little lines going towards, go from the outside and go into the flying saucer. And then what's nice about that is you aren't going to worry about going over. You can just makes it easier. So I've got those going. And then the next shape is or the next thing to do is to create a stem, or like however the bottom of this will be. So I don't have a lot of stem here. I noticed that I didn't really make a lot of place for stems. So I'm just going to create a stem on all three of these. And now I can create things to come out of it. I can make lines to go, and this would be great if you're going to use watercolor. But the first layer, this is our second layer, so I'm going to just do some lines. In this one, I'm going to do just lines going straight, kind of curving up from the base and then going kind of in a curved fashion here. I think I'll make one more there. So I've got that shape going. And then maybe on this one, I could do maybe, let's see, it's just up to you. But I think with this one, I'll do lines, but they'll be a little bit different. Maybe I won't go up all the way. Maybe I'll just kind of go here like this and just kind of go part way. And then I can do some dots or something on the way. There we go. So just kind of create that, and it gives that dimension and depth. So I've got that one. And then I'll do one that's I'll just make the lines a little closer maybe on this one. Going from the center, I'm going to go on the outside and just kind of build your shape. I'm just going to leave that like that, or maybe just go in between. This time I won't, I'll go halfway up in the second line, in between the last ones I did. So there we've got that. Now I can do a decorative circles, and this is where it's all creative at this point. I could make a circle going up, and maybe sort of making the circle a little smaller as I go up. I can do that on all of these like this. And this is where you can try different things. I may decide to use a white pen to blot that out. I'm not sure. There's really, you can just play with the shapes at this point. So I've got this design is almost finished. But what I wanted to show you is you can make little things coming out of it. I don't even know what that's called, but you can take lines and just create little shapes that are kind of, what are those called? It's things that come out of flowers. And just make them come out like this. And I'm going to do 5 because I think 5 is a good number. You can do 3, you can do, but I always like to do odd numbers. So I'm going to do 1. I'm just creating a thicker end. I'm going to go out 2. And I'm going to do a crossover 3 and 4 and 1 more, just going up like that. So I'm just going to have all these little guys coming out of the center of this beautiful, whatever it is, interesting, otherworldly flower. It's definitely not real. I suppose it could be. All right, so we got those. That is the base is done. Got that layer done. So the third one, let me just see if there's a fourth one. There's actually different ones we could do, and I really like this one. This was actually called The Seventh Flower, and it was deconstructed by someone named Shalini Rajesh. I hope that's the way to pronounce it. But this is a really cool design because it's very freeform. And if it's just February, it's the month of love. So I think if you create, the first thing you do to make this is you make kind of a heart shape. And I'm going to do it right here. It's kind of a heart shape, and it's not quite the heart, but it's sort of a heart shape. And then I'm just going to bring that all the way and make a stem. So it's basically like a heart and stem. So you make one of those, and maybe if you want to make 2, you would just do the other one on the opposite side. So kind of a heart shape. And then just drop it down to make a stem. You can continue it and make it however you want, the little stem go however you want. So I've got these 2 shapes going, and if I could do a third one, why not? Do a little heart shape, and then I'm just going to drop that down and make a little stem. So this is the beginning of the flower, the design. So now what we're going to do, I'll start with the one I started on the center, and I'm just going to draw like just follow the contour of the heart, and I'm going to make these little lines following the contour of the heart and stopping right here. I'm going to do this 3 or 4 times until I get the shape I like. So you're getting a really, really pretty bloom shape, and you're just stopping the line right at this base of that heart. I'm going to do another one. So it's got this really interesting, there we are, like that. So that's one of them. You can continue to go out farther, or you could make them, let's try, you can even do a little skinny line, like if you want to do a skinny one right next to it, like a little skinny one, or have it, closer to the shape. And then I think that's probably enough there, but I could keep going. But I'm going to do this one now, the one on the second one. I'm going to do a skinny, just follow that contour of the heart but kind of give it a little flare, move it out a little bit. And now I'm going to just go a little bit bolder and bigger on the second one. So I've got a little bigger line there. And then a third, I'll just go skinny, skinny. This one's actually a really easy one. I love this one. And I'm just going to continue. There we go. So now I've got that shape. I might just do, I think I like that one. I think I might just leave that one alone. So I'm going to do this little third one. And this little guy, I'm going to do the same thing. Take that and make that little curve. And just kind of vary the thickness and build it out. And I think I'll do a real skinny one. So you can see kind of just a narrow, more of a narrow one there. So I've got those 3 fun little shapes. And now you can create designs inside. So maybe on this first one here, I'll do like a curved line kind of going up towards the top of the heart. I'm just doing a curved line, like an arc, just going up. And I can continue that arc on the thicker pieces here. And I can continue just going up, just kind of a symmetrical thing happening. So I've got that. That's a basic shape. And then if I wanted to take this one, I can do like a chevron type, like a V. And just go down make that little V shape going down all the way just to that place right here. So I've got that here. And then this one I could do, it's so little, but I can actually just black it out, which I think would look kind of cool. Let's just darken it so that I can really see the shape of the heart. There we are, right here. So I've got 3 different treatments going on here. And then if I want to take a line and go up here, I can make a little dot. So these are just things you can start to draw and do different things. Like this chevron, I think I might just I'm going to leave those alone so that I can do my next layer. So now we are at, and you see this little white dot thing, it's sort of calling to me to do something crazy, but I'll figure it out. I think I'll make it just a little spiral because I'm repeating the spiral that's in here. So now I've got my window, my basic layout. Now to do, you can continue, if you go up to your first one, you can continue doing line work, or after you've done your line work, you can start using colored pencils to shade and make layers. And that's kind of what's happening here. So with this flower, I started coloring with colored pencils, but you can also do watercolors too. So if you have watercolors with you, that's great. Let's just do some of these with watercolors. So I'm just going to take some of the color here, some green, and I'm going to just do a little green in my leaves, but I don't want to go too dark because I still plan to draw inside. Just giving a little, you're just creating layers in your doodles. I'm using a really little brush, which is kind of unusual for me to do, but I'd try to see if I can have some control. I'm just going to kind of fill my leaves in a little bit. And then as those are drying, I can go and do another section of my window. And then, here we go. So the first layer is the watercolor window. The second layer is just your lines. The third layer is going back with more color. You can, let's say on this one, it's calling for some like color of some sort, but I'm not sure. I could go lighter with some colored pencils, or I can go, I might put some color in here in this. Let's see, I'll put some quinacridone rose. Let's see if that, and it's already got some, but I'll just add it a little bit just to give that second layer. You can do that, change your colors up. Like I don't have a lot of colors here, but I can do an amethyst color. I think that's really pretty. This is actually made out of genuine amethyst. And if I get too dark, you can always highlight with light with other things like white markers or light colored pencils, inks. And I think I'll try this, go to this turquoise color and just kind of enhance that a little bit. But I'm not doing it, I just want to keep it subtle because I'm going to keep layering. And then maybe the green, I can use the green to make those stems a little bit more. But I can do this with pencils too. So same thing, just take all of your, to do this on all of your little drawings, just layer on them. This what I could use, just do some beautiful, some leaves. I can just do green. And if you kind of have a color family that all work together, it would make a nice, you can actually get a really nice painting out of that. So I'm just going to color it in with the watercolor. And if you decide to use colored pencils, which I want to show you a little bit on that, but I don't want to spend all that time on this. I'll finish that later. So for colored pencils, what I love about colored pencils, let's say you have, you can layer with these with the colored pencils. And what's great about colored pencils is you can watercolor, if they're wax-based, the watercolor kind of gets, it's a resist, but if you want, you can just add some color. Like here, I'm going to add some yellow onto my, and this is just the colored pencils are fairly transparent mostly, and so they'll go right over your lines. They won't ruin your lines that you have. They may soften them a little bit, but they won't ruin them. I've got some yellow with the colored pencil. And what's nice too is that with the colored pencil, you get like soft, muted, a little softer and more muted than the paints. Oops. I'm just using it's a Blick Studio dark yellow, but you can use any of your colored pencils if you have them. Just kind of, and I'll have definitely by tomorrow, I'll work on these more tomorrow, but just to show you, you can also take colored pencil, let's say you have a darker color, you can use your colored pencils to layer, like so here, or to shade. So here I've got like it was a nice, I don't know what that color was, it was a rose color, and I'm just going to take this color pencil and I'm going to darken and shade this down here. This is a Inktense pencil, which is water soluble, and that's kind of fun. I'm just going to add dimension and give it like shade it in highlight other areas. So here I've got a little bit of like a shadow that's going underneath the flower. And what I could do too is use a different, like an opposite color. Like this is, let's see, this is a violet. So it's not an opposite, but it's on the same, but I'm just darkening it more. And I could even put that violet right under this petal. So this is where you just keep working your drawing until you get it till you get what you like. Now, as far as highlighting, you can always bring highlights back. Always test your pens and make sure they're working if you have them. To make highlights, like I really wasn't happy with the black spots, but I can always make white. You can even highlight with the acrylic pens over your yellow, like that's to see how I'm able to create highlights and bring back the white of the paper, because the white of the paper was lost when we did the wash. So just a little bit of highlighting would make it really fun. And if I want to make these dots white, I can just cover them right up. These white opaque pens are really handy to have to bring back your lights. And just so you know, this one is my favorite. These are called Posca. Yeah, there you can see it. These you can buy on Amazon, and they last long. They don't really clog. You just, to get them activated, you just shake them and kind of do a pump action. But I find these the most reliable, and they're not that expensive. And this one I think I've had for a long time, and it's still doing great service. And when I've taught classes and I would have a lot of people using pens, this is the only pen that didn't get really damaged, because it takes a lot more abuse than it seems to hold up. And they come in all these colors. So I've got, I think I bought a 12 I bought a set that had like 12 colors, and so you can put highlights, or you can use your pens to make your colors as well. I'm just going to stop here because I want to just show you this basic layout, and then as you go deeper and deeper, or start to highlight, and this is how you finish. So I want to see how everybody's doing.